Welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to talk about how to update values using the API on API spreadsheets. I'm going to use a Google Sheets for this demo and Postman to make the API requests, but this will apply to any type of spreadsheet in any source and any language. We're going to walk through the fundamentals and then you can use the quick start code to get started for your language. Okay, so updating data means changing one or multiple fields of one or multiple rows. So in this case, let's say we want to make the price of coffee $7 instead of $6.53. What we need to do to make an update request is we need to use this API URL. Again, this has your file ID in it. We're going to make a post request to this URL, post this URL, and we're going to include a request body in JSON format. The request body needs to contain two things. One key is the data. The value of the data key is another JSON object where the keys are the names of the column that you want to change and the new value. And the query, which identifies which rows you want to make the changes for. So let's take a look at this in action. Here we have our JSON data query. In this case, we want to change the price to $7. So we don't need this key in there. We only need price because that's all we want to change. Put 7 for this. And we want to make this change in rows where the item is coffee. So we need to include a query. You can read more about queries in your docs by going to API docs SQL-like queries. For our demo purposes, we're going to quickly walk through the query. It's like a SQL query. So select star from, this is your file ID, where the name of the column equals something. And again, you can use this just like a SQL query. So like you can have and or other identifiers such as in, just like a SQL query would work. So in this case, we want to make changes where item equals coffee. So we're going to make this item equals coffee and we're going to send the request to the API. We have a 201 created return. That means the request was successful. Let's take a look. And here we see the coffee has been changed to $7. Great. Now let's look at some variations on this example. Let's go back to our file here and let's make it private. When we make things private, we need to include secret keys and access keys in the header. So here we have our API keys, access key and secret key, and we're going to include it in the header. Let's see what happens when we make a request to this API without including the key. We get a 401 unauthorized error. That's because we have not included the correct keys. So here we include access key and secret key. Let's copy our access key and let's copy our secret key. This time, let's change the price to $10, with inflation and all. And now we see that it was successful. And here it has been changed to $10. Great. Let's say you want to change multiple fields. So you can change that as well. Let's say we want to make pants $40 and instead of them being called pants, let's say we want to call them trousers. So now we also want to change the item trousers. In this case, the current item is pants and let's make it $40. Let's send this. Great, 201 created. And pants has been changed to trousers. Cool. Now let's see some errors that you might encounter while updating your data. Let's change this column name to be something invalid, like item 123 equals pants. Now the column name is not valid anymore. Let's see what happens then. 400 bad request. So whenever you get a bad request error, that could be because either a parameter was missing, let's say you didn't have data or query, or the parameters were incorrect, in this case the SQL query that did not work properly. Let's say you have your API blocked. So we block update. Now let's create a valid JSON request body where item equals pants. Everything is good, but we have blocked the request. When we send it, we get a 405 method. API method is not allowed on your API due to a customer. And that's the basics of updating. Again, you can read more about it in the docs by going to API and reading about update rows here. Thank you for watching and hope you have a good time building with spreadsheets.